Okay, hello everybody. Today we're here in Microsoft Flight Simulator 2024 in the Cessna 152. We have a 111 nautical mile flight from Romeo November Mike Ramona to Victor November Yankee Van Nuys. We'll be flying VFR and doing a Class Bravo transition. Today's flight is a subscriber request for Rhett Kelly, who's been a friend of the channel now for over a year and did this very flight on flightsim and was curious how I'd tackle it. Let's hop into the pilot seat and see how it goes. Ramona is freeware by the amazing scenery designer V. Basilio. Check the download link if you would like to have a copy. So we'll get our parking brake set, check that all of our switches are off, car beats in, throttle to idle, mixture to cutoff. Our trim definitely is not set to take off. Let's rotate this all the way back down to the takeoff position. Let down here, get our fuel selector on. Turn on the battery and the alternator. Check our fuel tank left, right. We've got about 3/4 of a fuel tank, which should work for this flight. Open up the window, let in some air. That's better. Check that the prop area is clear. It is. This aircraft has state saving, so it still has all the avionics on. We'll turn the transponder off. I should really turn off the radios, but I'm just going to leave them on for now. Head down here, get the beacon on. Bring the mixture into full rich, crack the throttle. We'll prime it. 1, 2, 3 strokes of the primer. Clear prop. Feet around the brakes, keys in the ignition, crank it over. Got a good start. Check that our oil pressure has come up. That's already in the green. That looks good. RPM's at 1,000. We'll lean the mixture for ground operations. Now we could bring the transponder to standby. We'll turn on the taxi and the landing light. Check the directional gyro versus the compass and calibrate that.
Ramona Airport, Information Quebec. 2053 Zulu. Wind 270 at 13. Visibility 10.
Ramona Ground says in a 565 Whiskey is a C152 slant Alpha. We'd like flight following destination Van Nuys, Victor November Yankee at 4,500 with information Quebec.
Piper 29 Papa read back correct.
Ground Piper 6229 Papa is holding short of runway 27 at Alpha 1. Ready for takeoff, departure to the north.
Cessna 565 Whiskey, Ramona Airport ground. On departure, maintain VFR at or below 4500 feet. Departure on 132.2, squawk 1564.
On departure, maintain VFR at or below 4,500. Departure 132.2, squawk 1564, Cessna 565 Whiskey. Ramona Ground, Cessna 565 Whiskey, center ramp, taxi for northwest departure with information Quebec.
Cessna 65 Whiskey, taxi to runway 27 via Alpha 1.
Taxi runway 27 via Alpha 1, Cessna 565 Whiskey. Alright, clearing our left and our right, and we've got a taxi around this big plane over here to get to the taxiway. So as we start moving, I'll test my brakes. They work. Then we're going to hang a big right, and as we do that, I'll open up ForeFlight and take you through the flight brief. We are departing from Ramona, which is a Class Delta, going up to 3,800 feet. We're underneath the Class Bravo of San Diego that starts at 4,800 and 6,800, so we'll fly at 4,500 to remain underneath the Bravo. We'll use the Oceanside VOR as a nav aid of 115.3 and fly that radial to the VOR. Just north of that, we do have restricted space, but if we go into the margins and look at the hours, the space going up to 2,000 is pretty much always active, but going up to 11,000 is only active by NOTAM. So we can check if that's active, and if it's not, we can fly through it as long as we are above 2,000. Next is Dana Point, and then we have a Class Charlie transition for John Wayne Airport since we're flying at 4,500. We'll head to Huntington Pier, then head north to Signal Hill, just west of Long Beach Airport. Now, we're flying at 4,500, which will be beneath all of the Class Bravo shelves, but above all of the Class Delta shelves. So we don't need to talk to ATC at this point. The airspace over LAX, however, starts right at the surface, so we do need a way to transition that. There are 4 options for the transitions. The Coliseum and Hollywood Park routes both are at 8,500 to 9,500, which is way too high considering we're going to Van Nuys just north of LAX. The next option is the mini route, which is a good option at 2,500. It requires ATC clearance. It does have some requirements. It's only usable when LAX is in the west configuration, and it involves flying a radial direct to Santa Monica's VOR to fly right over the east end of LAX. The coastal route, 5,500, a bit too high for us. And then there's the last option, which is the Los Angeles Special Flight Rules Area option. Unlike the other 4, which are Bravo clearances, this lets you transition the surface area just making CTAF calls without having it cleared to enter the Bravo permission from ATC. You need to squawk 1201 instead of 1200 for VFR. You've got a specific CTAF frequency of 128.55, and you need to self-announce at waypoints along the transition, flying a specific heading at an altitude of 4,500 to the Santa Monica VOR along the 132 radial. So the entry point is Hawthorne, and 405 will intercept the Santa Monica 132 radial there, fly to Santa Monica. Once we get on the other side, we'll be at 4,500, still underneath the Bravo. We'll cross the Sepulveda Pass, descend to 2,500 to get underneath the Charlie, contact Van Nuys Tower, and get permission to land at Van Nuys. Phew, that was a mouthful. So we're just pulling up to the hold short lines here and getting ready for departure. Ramona Tower, Cessna 565 Whiskey, holding short runway 27 at Alpha 1, ready for departure.
Cessna 565 Whiskey, Ramona Airport Tower, runway 27, winds 280 at 13, cleared for takeoff.
Cleared for takeoff, runway 27, Cessna 565 Whiskey. Alright, check again. Oop, and I forgot to get the strobes on during the run-up, so let's get those on now. Everything else looks good. Transponders to alt, mixture full rich, flaps are up, lights are on. Game on. We're flying with real weather today, and you can hear that we had a little bit of wind at 1-3 knots, but not too bad. However, it looks like a good VFR flying day. And we're also flying with the WBSim C152 mod. It's a little bit hard to find that. If you want to download it, you need to get it from their Discord channel. So join their Discord channel for WBSim, go to the download section, and then you can download this aircraft. Alright, full power. Our gauges look good. Coming up on rotate speed. And we're up. Once we get to altitude, we have a slight right turn to the 288 heading. And from there, we're looking to intercept the 288 radial to the Oceanside VOR, which will help us with our navigation. We're running with Same Tensions AI ATC, and I'm really curious how it's going to handle this flight, because I'm going to treat it just like real ATC. So as we approach the restricted area, I'm going to ask if it's active, and when we get to the special flight rules area, I will ask to change off of flight following to CTAF for the special flight rules. So we'll see how it goes.
Cessna 75 Foxtrot, contact Ramona ground on 121.65.
Cessna 65 Whiskey, contact departure.
Over to departure, Cessna 565 Whiskey. SoCal departure, Cessna 565 Whiskey, 4,200, climbing 4,500.
Cessna 565 Whiskey, SoCal departure, radar contact.
Delta 1721, maintain 170 knots to McGee.
170 to McGee, Delta 1721.
Alright, we're on course. Let's sit back and enjoy that awesome flight simulator scenery. SoCal departure, Cessna 565 Whiskey. Can you tell me if restricted area Romeo 2503 Delta is hot?
Cessna Cessna 65 Whiskey, restricted area R2503 Delta is currently inactive.
Alright, that's awesome, and it's right, it's only active by NOTAM, and there is no current NOTAM for it. Thanks very much, approach Cessna 565 Whiskey.
Cessna 65 Whiskey, you're welcome.
Command 250, active my Jacob.
Southwest 521, contact tower 118.3.
Cessna 65 Whiskey, contact SoCal departure on 127.3.
Over to 127.3, Cessna 565 Whiskey. SoCal departure, Cessna 565 Whiskey, 4,500.
Cessna 565 Whiskey, SoCal departure, good afternoon. Oceanside, altimeter 30.05.
3005, Cessna 565 Whiskey.
SoCal approach on 127.4, Comanche 901 Papa.
SoCal approach, Cessna 565 Whiskey, requests John Wayne Class Charlie transition at 4,500 to the northwest.
Cessna 65 Whiskey, transition through John Wayne class. Charlie at 4500 approved, maintain VFR.
John Wayne Class Charlie at 4,500 approved, maintain VFR, Cessna 565 Whiskey.
Cessna 65 Whiskey, contact SoCal departure on 121.3.
Over to 121.3, Cessna 565 Whiskey. SoCal departure, Cessna 565 Whiskey, 4,500.
Cessna 565 Whiskey, SoCal departure, good afternoon Santa Ana, altimeter 30.06.
Nuys 67 Kilo Lima cleared RNAV tree 6 number 2 following a diamond. Southwest 521 contact tower 118.3.
Tower 119 from 9 Delta Echo, Delta Delta.
American 1342. Sierra Tango reduced to 100 knots. You're number 2 following a Cessna.
SoCal departure, Cessna 565 Whiskey, requests frequency change to the Los Angeles Special Flight Rules area.
Cessna 65 Whiskey, frequency change approved, squawk VFR, have a good flight.
Frequency change approved, squawk VFR, thanks for the help, Cessna 565 Whiskey. CDI-1 is set up for Santa Monica VOR 132 radial from, which is on the bottom, which is the 312 radial 2 on the top at the yellow arrow. And now we're going to keep flying our heading until the needle settles up, and then turn to the 312 heading.
FedEx 1249 heavy descend and maintain 3000 airport, 12 o'clock 20 miles.
Visually, we're looking for the intersection of Hawthorne and 405. LA Special Flight Rules, red and white Cessna, Hawthorne and 405, 4,500 northbound. Alright, our needle's perfectly centered, so we're going to turn right on to our radial heading. And this is going to take us right over the east end of LAX at 4,500, which should be an awesome sight. LA Special Flight Rules, red and white Cessna, over 405, abeam the refinery at 4,500 northbound, Special Flight Rules. LA Special Flight Rules, red and white Cessna, Imperial Highway 4,500 northbound, Special Flight Rules. LA Special Flight Rules, red and white Cessna, beam the Marina 4,500 northbound, Special Flight Rules. On the north side of LAX, we're continuing at 4,500 until we reach the Santa Monica VOR. And here we are, so now we're going to turn to heading 337 to fly the Sepulveda Pass. LA Special Flight Rules, red and white Cessna, 4,500 over the Santa Monica VOR, descending 2,500, Special Flight Rules. We'll pick up the Atis for Van Nuys because we'll need that for the tower request.
Van Nuys Airport, information Juliet.
Van Nuys Airport, Cessna 565 Whiskey, 10 miles south at 3,900, full stop landing with information Juliet.
Cessna 565 Whiskey, Van Nuys Airport Tower, enter left base for runway 34 left.
Left base runway 34 left, Cessna 565 Whiskey.
Cirrus 2 Alpha Bravo, contact ground on 121.7.
Cessna 65 Whiskey, winds 110 at Niner, runway 34 left, cleared to land.
Cleared to land, runway 34 left, Cessna 565 Whiskey. Straight in for 34 left would have been better for the approach that we're coming from, but ATC wanted us on left base, so here we are.
Roger, over to the ramp, via Bravo Charlie, 5 will be there.
It seems to be much windier and more turbulent than the 9 knots in the ATIS suggested, but here we are, we're starting to calm down on short final.
Cessna 65 Whiskey, welcome to Van Nuys. Contact ground on 121.7.
Over to ground on 121.7, Cessna 565 Whiskey. Van Nuys ground, Cessna 565 Whiskey, clear runway 34 left at Golf, taxi to Signature West.
Falcon 762 Foxtrot Romeo, hold short of runway 24 traffic on final approach.
Holding short of runway 24, Falcon 762 Foxtrot Romeo.
Cessna 565 Whiskey, Van Nuys Airport ground. Taxi to Signature Aviation via Golf Alpha.
Taxi Signature via Golf Alpha, Cessna 565 Whiskey. Alright, that was a cool flight with a lot of ATC interaction. Rhett, I'm curious how your flight went on VATSIM and what route you took, so be sure to post that in the comments. I run in 2K Ultra settings and my sim turned into a potato somewhere over LAX, so it was a bit of a challenge getting the video recorded, and it was a little taxing for my system. So I hope you enjoy realistic general aviation content like this. If you do, be sure to click that like button, leave me a comment, and don't forget to subscribe. It really helps the channel and the algorithm if you do that. So if you like the content, please give me some feedback. Thanks as always for flying along with me, and stay tuned for further flight adventures.